Data Studio. You're trying to create some reports with Google Analytics data that have the UTM and other information that you think will be helpful. But sometimes Data Studio confuses you because you have to connect the data source and edit things to match the report I want, and not having luck figuring it out. I need resources for it.
So I almost want to like create a new report. I'm not too sure what I want.
Yeah.
About that.
I empathize with you. I find Data Studio difficult to work with. But you shouldn't have to. You might have to edit the report, but if you're using UTM codes and limiting that, you can create a filter on the page that limits to a UTM campaign code, for instance.
In Data Studio?
Yeah.
Okay, how would you do that?
Well, Google how to add a filter in Data Studio. So like on my, here, let's look at, let's do something here real quick. So I'm going to share screen. So in the process, we have a Data Studio report, which is the monthly report. So we can play around with this. And in here is a template.
I have that.
Okay. So from here, it takes a while to load. But first thing we want to do is make a copy so we don't mess up the new one. And we're just going to keep using the sample Google Analytics data for here.
Okay, well, I think that might be part of it that I get confused on.
Okay. All right, well, let's start over. Let me just, well, we'll create a new copy. We'll just delete them all.
Create a copy.
So we're going here. We're going to say, make a copy. All right. So this only uses one source of data, in this case, Google Analytics. So it's trying to find a new data source. Now, I can go and I can select data sources that I've already connected.
Yeah.
Or I can just use the sample data.
Okay. So like scroll down, click that again so I can see the options. So that's going to be basically any Google Analytics that is in the same, like on the top right, whoever you're logged in as.
No.
Whatever account.
No. You might have to create a new data source, which means, so these are data sources that like Reliable Acorn. It's already been imported into Data Studios. It already has a connection. So I can select this and create a new report with that data. If I've never used a Google Analytics or Google Ads with this, I could create a new one, the new data source.
Okay.
So if I don't see the one I want listed, or
then you do,
and God forbid you do what I did.
Yeah, well, that's
profiles named all website data, which is impossible to see.
Yeah.
But you can create a new data source at that point. Oh. Oh, there we go. What is going on? Oh, there we go. Okay. So now we're creating a new data source. Now we can base it off any of this stuff. We can upload files.
Okay.
We can use third party. I use Servino data for Facebook ads and Microsoft ads.
Okay.
And those are paid services, Active Campaign, which I use. I could import, but point is, pick your data source. Once you do this, it will go to the account that you're connected to. And you list all the accounts that have access. I can select one. And I can select which property. And I can select the view. If it's
Mhm.
GA4, obviously it doesn't have a view.
Okay.
So that is why it's super important when you set up your
That you
analytics,
can-
put your name in
yes.
there.
Yeah.
I added that as a new process recently in Curious Ants, just because I kept running into this problem where all the data said, no website data, and it wasn't helpful to me.
Yeah. Okay.
But
Okay.
you'll notice I have a backup and a testing,
Mm-hmm.
which is a best practice.
Yes.
But once you select that, what it will try to do, because this is what we've already done here,
Yeah.
we've used that same data source, and it's
Mhm.
right here,
Yeah.
right? So now this report is going to be limited to whatever this data source
Data
is.
source.
And you
Okay.
can change, you can
So
add
let's say if you-
data or manage it,
Okay. Okay.
right? If you selected the wrong one or something,
Mm-hmm.
you can manage it and you can remove it and add a new one. Like here we go, you can remove or add a new data source. So you could insert Google Search Console, whatever. But if you're using UTM codes, that will already be in whatever Google Analytics view
Mm-hmm.
you're doing. So the reason I wanted to use the sample data is because I know they use campaign variables.
Okay.
So I was going to go to this field. The second page is limited only to Google Organic. Now,
Okay.
unfortunately, the sample data with Google
Doesn't
show any recent Google Organic data,
Mm-hmm.
which is really interesting in that we might be looking at real data from their store, but really
Yeah.
old, right?
Yeah.
Because they don't have any organic search, or maybe it's internal and only Google employees can use it, so there is no organic traffic.
Okay.
But what we can do is we can go here, and I have had a segment for organic traffic. So so in my Google Analytics, I've created different segments, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I got Google Organic sessions, new organic visits. So I could do system segments. I could look. So what you would probably want to do is say, you'd replace this segment and you'd say, okay, I don't want it. I want it to do. Let's just try to add one. Oh, that's why. Because there isn't a segment unless you create a segment in Google Analytics for that.
Mm-hmm.
What you want to do is do filter.
Okay.
And so I can go to filter and I can say, I want a campaign. Actually, no, I want to create a filter. And so this is going to be campaigns. So include, select a field, campaign. So
Mhm.
presumably you have tagged all of your UTM codes with the same campaign variable, right? There's 3 required variables in UTM codes: campaign, source, and medium, right?
Uh-huh.
So if you've done it consistently, where no matter which link you've tagged, all use the same campaign, you could then set campaign. And so I'm going to make a present. You can say equal to, or you can say matches regex or starts with, right? You just need a match.
Okay.
And so we can send it. So maybe it's GMB for you, because I know you like
Yeah.
the GMB. Let's just
Mhm.
say that's it. So now all this filter
Mm-hmm.
on this particular item is filtered by this campaigns only.
So now is it gonna show like the source and the other thing?
If you let it, you'd have to tell it to do that.
How do I tell it? Is it add another
Well, what do you
filter?
want to show?
So I want let me see what my standard things are.
Before we get there, let me show you something here. It's
Okay.
important.
Yeah.
So right now, this thing that's selected is filtered by campaigns, whatever we set,
Okay.
and organic traffic. So what we really want to do is
Only filtered by campaigns.
we want to remove, this is in the way. Oh, there it is. That's how I remove it.
Oh, okay.
There it is. Oh, it's not like I might have to increase this.
Yeah.
Oh, how do I remove this? I want to remove the segment. Anyway, let's say, assume we can remove the segment somehow. It's blanking on me now. What I wanted to really point out is now if I go to another data point, that filter's not set.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I'd have to then go and change to add that filter. I want to go to this one. Give it a moment to catch up. No filter, have to add that filter.
Okay.
So you'd have to go through each of those things.
Each
to
little
add the
place.
filter,
Yeah.
right.
That I want.
Otherwise, that data would apply to all things.
Okay.
So now there are different here might be a better example. So like here I've just listed default channel groupings.
Mm-hmm.
I could go into this and I can say, I want to filter this. And now this is only GMB data.
Okay.
But there is no, they don't use the GMB tag.
Yeah.
In there.
Yeah. Okay.
So I can say, well, since we don't know what
they're
using, that's going to be really hard to replicate.
Yeah.
But okay, let's say we do have data here. We can then just change this chart to say, rather than the dimensions default channel groupings, we can change that to just say source. Right? Or source medium.
Yeah, source medium. Okay.
Right. So if we go and we say, all right, I want to remove this tag. Now it's source medium.
Uh-huh. Okay.
So if we filtered it by a particular campaign, you would then see your the data is the dimension source medium, and then the metric, in this case, is conversion rate. But you can change that over here to whatever.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. You could add it to visits or clicks or conversions or bounce rate or whatever you wanted.
Okay.
But that's this kind of control.
Okay.
Which is a table.
Yes. Okay.
Or you could, this is a pie chart, works the same way. This is just the default channel grouping as a pie chart by sessions.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So you could do, for instance, filtered by GMB and then source. And you'd see of all the clicks, the visits, or whatever you wanted to measure. So that's kind of how you don't have to modify the data.
You have to select what you want. Okay.
Right. That's this is.
Yes.
And so
okay.
Ideally you don't want to mess with that. There might be some advanced things that you could do, But you just filter and view the data however you need to. So
Okay.
that's why this report is like it's supposed to be the Google organic, or not the Google organic, but all organic results. This, like what I designed here is, okay, here's an overview of all the things that you can do. Here's how people found us, how many people, how they found us, and what they did, meaning goal completions after finding us. But if we want to focus on SEO, you go to the second report. That's only limited. All these dimensions are limited by organic.
Okay.
And so you could do a similar thing, but you, rather than filter it by the medium of organic, you could filter by the campaign code of whatever, but you'd have to go in and change all of these.
Okay. Okay.
Right. There might be a way to select all and then do it, but
Okay.
yeah.
Is there like a way, so like you had the pie chart, but I was thinking about even like another chart. Can't think of like how you name them, that like can compare like 1 month to the last month.
So yes. So I don't know if they do that with pie charts, but we can
Not necessarily
this.
Pie chart. I was thinking about something else, but I couldn't think of.
So, well, that's what these do by default. So for example, the user number in the same date range, which is the auto date range, and Google Data Studio's auto date range is 28 days.
Okay.
Which is great because that means basically 4 weeks exactly. But so what this does is I can put in this I can comparison metric. Right. I can change the value, or I can just have no comparison.
Okay.
So what this is doing is saying it's actually got 25% more users than the previous 28 days. They had 26% more sessions from the previous 28 days.
Okay.
29%, 30% more conversions, goal completion. So that's doing that. And that metric, the scorecard, allows you to do that. Okay. You might be able to do something similar with pie chart. But you have to play with that. Now there's also different different charts you can add.
Yeah.
And
I was looking at like maybe like the line. Like one of those. Okay.
One of those.
Okay.
There's all kinds, but some of these you can act there if they have third-party widgets you can put in, which are interesting too.
Okay. Okay. So, I'll go in now, and because I always get, part of it is I think I get a little bit scared because I'm like, I'm going to mess something up, but it's just pulling data in, and I can just always start over the report over again since I've made a copy. Right.
And honestly, sometimes when I'm doing this, because I don't do it very often, I set it once and let it go.
Yeah. Yeah.
I get confused too, because I'm not in it. Once I've created the report and does what I want, like it goes. And I'll often send it to schedule email delivery. Yeah. So automatically people get it, including myself.
Yeah.
In fact, I send Yusuf and my other assistants copies of the reports.
Yeah.
Every month, so they can see how our clients are doing. But yeah, you can't, as long as you're not monkeying with, you're editing this data.
Yeah.
Which would actually be kind of hard to do.
Yeah. Yeah. As long as I select the correct data source, then
right. You're just displaying things. And frankly, sometimes it's just worth starting over.
Yeah.
Just start over.
Yeah. Okay. So I want to play with that a little bit and get a few things in there. So, okay.
Yeah. I'd love to see your local report.
Yeah.
Because like we've talked about in the past, Google Business, my business
Insights,
is pretty
yeah,
terrible.
are not good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I say not good. They're not accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. Good. Thank you.